We're back to the line now. And just a couple of hours after that interview, Democratic presidential candidate Elizabeth Warren named Ms. Holland a co-chair of her presidential campaign. Much of her duties have yet to be announced, but Giovanna, there's something in this symbolically too. Very interesting, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just the announcement in general. Yeah, I mean, the three co-chairs, they're all women.
Yep.
And Congressman Holland is not, it's not a new thing, right? She's been involved with Senator Warren and they've been allies, and I think it's going to be really interesting. I think it's great. It's really lifting the level, the issues for both women and also the Native American community. So I think it's going to be really interesting to watch, see how this unfolds.
Interesting. Michael, you know, when we talk about co-chairs and what they do, you can hear that term and, okay, that sounds great. What's a co-chair? what happens there? But interestingly, our representative is going to be out in this country representing a presidential candidate. And that's no small thing, especially for a Native American woman to be doing that kind of heavy lifting. That's no small thing in this country. It's interesting. What's your thoughts there?
Well, I guess I would say it's about time.
Yeah.
Past time.
Yeah.
And I think it'll be good for our Representative Holland. I think it'll be good for New Mexico because it also emphasizes, I think it's a win all across the board, but specific to the Native community, having a Native woman out there operating at that level is new and exciting, and I think it continues to emphasize something that hasn't been taking place in this country, and that is a Native woman voice at the table, articulating our concerns, our issues, but also speaking about New Mexico's issues, rural issues,
right.
Exactly.
Underserved communities.
That's right.
Communities that, I mean, we know what New Mexico already is, and both the assets and the negative aspects as well.
Right.
But I think she will represent us very well, and bring some attention to issues that have been ignored and marginalized for quite some time. So I think it's really a win, no matter how you look at it.
You know, sometimes, Michael Barrio, these things come down to picking the right horse, so to speak, at the right time. It's sort of a horse race. But Deb Haaland came out in July and endorsed Elizabeth Warren. She was pretty early on this situation. That counts for something in politics. You know what I mean? If you're on the team early, you know.
It's interesting. I mean, it makes sense. The news wasn't particularly shocking or anything like that. But what intrigues me most about it is that I want to understand a little bit more about, you know, how now that we've got our Congresswoman in this position, how can she further shine light on the issues that are important to New Mexico and what the indigenous people in New Mexico in particular face? Because, you know, what I think we're not seeing is that, you know, the structure of the relationship between the federal government and tribes hasn't really changed. And so that's where I'm interested in seeing how Congresswoman Holland, being part of this team, will begin to work on that. And I think that's the piece that I'm really interested in watching unfold.
Very much so. Merritt, interestingly, we got to put this on the table just to kind of get it out there. What does this do to the situation with Senator Warren, with her claims now, you know, debated forever about her Native American ancestry? Does this change any of that, having Deb Haaland come
I think
board?
I think that's a fairly minor issue, and I don't see this
Is it put to
as a
bed
symbolic
completely at this
fix.
point? Okay.
I don't, and I certainly don't think Representative Haaland would allow herself to be used as a symbol like that. So I think that's kind of over. My real interest is, we saw this in 2008. Who in New Mexico is going to be the Democratic kingmaker? So we haven't heard from Congressman Lujan yet. We haven't heard from the governor yet. Who are they backing? Because, you know, we were all in for Clinton until Governor Richardson changed his mind.
Right.
And he still didn't deliver in the primary. New Mexico still went for Hillary Clinton. So I'm really eager to see how this plays out. Because while the Republicans are completely focused on the incumbent. I don't know that the Democrats are really unified around a single candidate yet, and I think that's the biggest risk we have in impeachment is it does not allow them to focus. So I think Representative Holland is being shrewd in picking her candidate and getting out there. It gives her more time and gives her the ability to be that kingmaker.
Exactly right. Michael, do you want to pick up on that question I asked Merritt about Elizabeth Warren and the whole controversy about her Native American heritage? Does this change anything, bringing on Deb Haaland? I mean, it's not that like it's been out there for months and months. It's over, like Merritt said. But you know how politics works. People like to bring up stuff endlessly. So,
well, the current occupant of the White House likes to bring up a lot of things, and most of them are irrelevant. And not really substantive. So I think, at least for me, and I think the Indian community in general, but I'll speak for myself, is it's a non-issue. It's she presented before a national group of Native leaders and made an apology. As far as I'm concerned, it's over and done. It's a non-issue. It's really about taking up Michael's point. It's really about the kind of relationship she has with Elizabeth Warren, and you can see some substantive policy that Senator Warren is moving on that really reflect the needs and the interest of Native communities.
Her platform actually on the Native American, like her policy position is really strong. It's probably one of the strongest out of all of the presidential candidates. It includes things that are really important to the Native American community: environment, health, nutrition assistance, lots of different things. One thing it has been criticized for is it doesn't actually address the structural relationship between the federal government and the tribes yet, but there's room for that, right? But it is one of the strongest plans, and Representative Haaland, I think, is going to not only help bring those issues to the top, which she is doing with, specifically for the Native American community, but I think she's also going to bring issues that are relevant for everybody through that lens, which is so important. And it's such a big distinction between just simply being a Native American voice versus a voice for everyone with that lens. And, and that's a very different thing.
Interesting quote here. I'm glad you brought that up, by the way, because there's a quote from Ms. Haaland about Elizabeth Warren. She is a sister in the struggle for Indigenous people's rights. That's pretty, I wouldn't think Deb Haaland would say that casually. Let's put it that way. So,
And to your point, I think that in many ways, there's a basis of indigenous knowledge and wisdom in this nation that has been marginalized and ignored. And I would dare say, I'll go so far as to say, had we been listening to Native people from day one, we might not be facing many of the issues we're facing today. And specifically when we're talking about in the environment and global warming, had we recognized that the Earth is a finite entity, not infinite. If you operate on the concept that it's a finite entity with limited resources, then you would approach things in terms of economic development, in terms of just a relationship with the Earth in a very different way. And this nation and the world at large, but this nation being the blueprint for much of everything that's rolled out in the world, has really chosen to ignore that. And I would say it's at our peril and at our door right now.
Yeah, good point
in real
there.
time.
It's interesting. Merritt, I've got to talk just a minute here. So let's talk about the national race. If Elizabeth Warren gets the nomination, is there a role for Deb Haaland once it's one-on-one between the president and Elizabeth Warren? What would her role be, in your view?
Gosh, I don't know, but I mean, certainly I would think she might be looking at cabinet if she. That's certainly what Bill Richardson was hoping for when he backed Obama.
That's right.
If I can, in this last minute, I just want to. My concern is if whoever the kingmaker is going to be pushes New Mexico for Warren. We're going to have a very polarized presidential race in New Mexico because she's very, very left of center. and the Republicans are just, I don't even know where they're moving, but it's not the center.
That's a good point.
I said it on the show before. The only person, the only two candidates who like tariffs as much as Donald Trump are Warren and Sanders.
That's right. That's right. Well, also our June primary. How relevant are we going to be by June in all this too? So we'll see what happens there. We're going to take a quick break here at the table, reset, and come back to talk about revised crime statistics for Albuquerque.